All right, welcome to a short video on x and y intercepts. Well, what's an x and y intercept, you say? Well, the y-intercept is where we touch the y-axis, where the graph touches the y-axis, and an x-intercept is where the graph touches the x-axis. What do we always say in class? When I say y-intercept, you got it, x equals 0. You can see that right here. And if I say x-intercept, y has to equal 0. So, with those two things in mind, let's move on. All right, let's have a look at slope-intercept form. I know you're all saying right now, I already know what the y-intercept is of 3x minus 4 because we've done this so many times, we know it's minus 4. So b equals minus 4. Great. Let's have a look at this algebraically and tackle it in a different way. We can say if we want to find the y-intercept, we set x equal to 0. So y-intercept, set x equal to 0. That's the definition of it. And so y equals 3 times 0 minus 4, which of course equals minus 4. That's why the y-intercept is b. Well, the x-intercept, we have to do something a little bit different. We set y equal to 0. So in this case, we get 0 equals 3x minus 4. Now we have to isolate the x, and we add 4 to both sides, so we get 3x equals 4, and x equals 4 thirds. All right, so let's see if we can graph this. Well, b equals minus 4, which is down here, and x equals 1 1/3, which is about there. Sorry, this is sort of in miniature. And there I have my graph. All right, let's have a look at general form. So general form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. So we've spent a lot of time in class talking about this form. And we also know a lot of things about this form. We know all about the formulas for the y-intercept and the x-intercept. So all bees can buzz in Central America. So the formula for the y-intercept is minus c over b, and the formula for the x-intercept is minus c over a. So let's get all our variables figured out. A is 4, b is equal to minus 3, and c is equal to 5. So if we do a simple substitution, 5 over minus 3, so don't remember, two negatives make a positive, so we have an intercept of 5 thirds, and an x-intercept minus c over a, so we have an x-intercept of minus 5 quarters, and let's graph that. All right, here is another bad graph coming up, I apologize. Okay, 5 thirds, it's approximately here somewhere, and minus 5 quarters is down here, and there we go. So there you have it. You already knew everything about general form because you know everything about bees. Great. All right, let's look at slope point form. We have the equation y minus 3 equals 4x minus 5. So let's see what information we are given. We know we have a slope of 4 and we have an original point of 5, 3. And let's quickly see if I can get that on here. So that's 5, 3, or as close as I can get. And I'm just going to go backwards 4, 1 instead of up and over 4, 1. I run out of graph, but you can see that our y-intercept is somewhere down here. All right, let's have a look. What can we do with this? Well, we got to do something. We have to either have a great graph, which mine isn't, or we can do this algebraically. So we can do y minus 3 and expand this, 4x minus 20. Bring the 3 over, so add 3 to both sides, so we get 4x minus 17. Well, that looks about right for my bad graph. About minus 17 would work. And the 4-ish looks like my x-intercept. So let's see if we can figure the x-intercept out. X-intercept, you have to just simply set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So we get 0 equals 4x minus 17. I'll just move over here. So 17 equals 4x, or x equals 17 divided by 4, which is 4 1/4, which is exactly where I put it on the graph. So there you have it, two ways to get the intercepts from slope point form. You could graph it. I turned it into slope intercept form, but I bet you some of you are wondering, can't I just use my favorite form, general? Of course you can. So if you want to use all bees can buzz from here, go right ahead. All right, let's have a look at questions that are in no form. What do I mean by no form? They're not in general, they're not in slope-intercept, and they're not in slope-point form. Doesn't mean you can't get them into those forms? Of course not. But in order to proceed to find the x and y intercepts, we have to do something. So here we go. Let's do this by definition. So if I say for the y-intercept, set x equal to 0, in this case it's pretty straightforward. That goes away. So 5y equals 3. So the y-intercept would be 3/5. And if I say find the x-intercept, I set y equal to 0. In this case, that one would have disappeared. So I get 4x equals 3 and x equals 3/4. Now, probably wondering what else you could have done. Well, you could take this equation, which is 4x plus 5y minus 3 equals 0. Guess what I just made? I just made a general equation. And if I want to find the y-intercept, I know that that formula is can buzz. So can buzz minus would be 3/5. Got that? And Central America would be minus 3/4, which is positive 3/4. So there you have it. No form, in this case, turned into general, or we just applied the definitions, and off we went. All right, let's go back to the next question on the right. Well, it looks like we have a mess of decimals here, but we can take the same strategy. We can say, well, let's do this by definition. So if I have my y-intercept, I set x equal to 0, so I get 0.3y equals 6. Or if I use my x-intercept, set y equal to 0, I get 0.5 x equals 6. So that's 3/10 y equals 6. This goes up, that goes down, so y equals 60 divided by 3, which is 20. And this is a half, x equals 6, so x-intercept equals 12. What else could you have done with this? You could have turned these all into decimals or into fractions first, multiplied through by 10, got it into general, and then solved it. So by this point in your math career, you have a lot of options. So use one of the sets of tools that you have and just find the x and y intercepts. Here. So let's go to slope-intercept form. So divide everything by 2, and all of a sudden I know what my y-intercept is. So that's that. How do I get my x-intercept? You got it. Set y equal to 0. Now this one's a little bit crazy because we have the fraction, so I'm going to add a half to both sides. And then I have to multiply and divide. So I'm going to multiply by 2 and divide by 3. So x is equal to 1/2 times 2/3, or the reciprocal. So that's 1/3. So my y-intercept is minus a half, and my x-intercept is a third. All right, our last no form question of the day could go to general, could be in a couple steps slope-intercept form, but you know what? I think I'm just going to use the definition. So for the y-intercept, I'm going to set x equal to 0. So in this case, this side is 0. 4y plus 2. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get this. Divide both sides by 4, and I get a y-intercept of minus a half. Okay, so now what I need to do is find my x-intercept. And this one's going to be a little bit easier. So when I get my x-intercept, I get y equal to 0. So I'm going to have minus 2x equals 2, and in this case, x equals minus 1. So there is my x-intercept, and there's my y-intercept.